Dave, I know we talked about it yesterday, and even, of course, you guys getting back in the win column, but it's feeling like the offense just wasn't there quite yet. Today, 13 hits, 8 runs. Did it feel like this team is just kind of getting back to whether it's its true self or just the offense that we're so used to seeing?
I think so. Tonight was a good night. Obviously Will had a good night. Alex had a really good night. I thought Freddie got some big 2-out hits. And we just kept tacking on, which is good. I thought after that first inning, Yoshinobu settled down. But, yeah, I think tonight the offense was the story, and it was good to see us look a little bit more normal.
You get it just up and down the order. I mean, having a guy like Alex Freeland having a 3-hit night, his second home run on the season, I mean, what does it do just when truly everyone is getting going?
Yeah, it's good. We haven't had that in quite some time. And so, yeah, it just kind of speaks to how good we can be. But I do think that tonight was a really good night for Alex. He's been kind of going through it for a while now, and so to get some results, hit that homer that he hadn't hit in probably a month ago, so to get that backside homer was good. But, yeah, I think that the pitching has been consistent, and it's just nice to see our offense come out and, take a lead, give it back up, and then take a lead again and not give it back up. So, across the board, I got no complaints with the offense.
Even when the other side is having the issues with pitching injuries that they're having, is there something meaningful to doing what you're supposed to do against a group like that?
Yeah, it is. It is. And, even in that first inning where we, first 2 guys get out and then we find a way to get a run across with 2 outs, that was good to see. It's still hard to win a big league game, score runs, and, regardless of what those guys are going through on the pitching side, for us to kind of, put that out of our minds and be present in the game that's in front of us is important. And that's what we did tonight. And hopefully, we got Lambert, who we've seen before. We got some history with him, so we can kind of build on what we did tonight and, go out there and win a series tomorrow.
Yoshi, when you look at just the first inning compared to the second, how did you find just settling back in after the pitch count got up, and then, of course, being so efficient after that first inning?
初回ああいう立ち上がりちょっと苦しい立ち上がりになったんですけども、その後どういうふうにしてゲームの中入っていきましたか？
初回、少し力みすぎたかなと、思って、そこが一番難しいんですけど、いろんな、ちょうどいい力感を探しながら、少しずつ、掴んでいきました。
I feel like I was kind of like a little bit pressing a bit early on, and then that's kind of like for me that's kind of like the hardest part in the game. And after that, I searched for the right feel.
You were getting the swing and miss, and with your strikeouts, most of them were actually swinging strikeouts. What does that say to you just as to where your pitches are at right now?
今日三振が、空振りを取っての三振が多かったんですけども、その意味っていうのはどういうことですか？
ストライクを取りに行くような入れに行くようなフォームじゃなくて、しっかり自分のフォームで投げ込んでいけたので、それが結果的に、なんか強さだったり、いい変化につながって、三振が増えたかなと思います。
I think because that was not about I was going to get strike. I was just trying to throw with the right feel, because they know right sense of power and a balance in the delivery.
When your offense breaks out early like they did,
Sorry, say it again?
When your offense breaks out early like they did, how does that help you kind of loosen up and find that rhythm?
試合の序盤でああいった、点を入れてもらうっていうのはそのゲームの中で山本さんにとってどれくらい楽になるっていうか、ゲームの進め方どういうふうになっていきますか？
もちろんすごく助かりました。初回から、今日は失点してたので、とにかく気を抜くことなく1イニングずつ集中して、投げることを心がけました。
Obviously, that's very helpful. That's a great support. And then I allowed the first run. I allowed them run in the first inning, so that was great support.
Kyle, you spent 7 seasons here. When you look at just being back here, what is it like for you personally?
I loved being here and playing here, and I know there's a lot of new faces over here or over there, but it's always nice coming back and seeing some of the guys and reconnecting with them. So it's always nice being back for me.
And then, of course, to see the result today. When you just look at this offense, up and down, you guys are working as a collective. Does it feel like you kind of guys are getting back on track to who you're used to seeing at the plate?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of good at-bats today and got some huge hits when we needed it. So, some of the things kind of went our way at times, but we just put up some good at-bats when we needed to and drove in some runs when we needed to. So that was a good start for us.
Ballpark to come to, like when you guys are kind of scuffling as a lineup a little bit?
I mean, it just depends. I mean, if we just continue just keeping our head down and grinding and putting up some good at-bats, good things can happen. So we're just going to try and keep doing that no matter where we're playing.
Were you surprised to hear some boos out there tonight when you were walking up?
I don't know. I don't really focus on like crowd noise and stuff. Like most of the time I don't hear a whole lot, so I don't really have a take on it.
Felt like just that the offense felt like a normal game. You just hadn't had a normal game in a while. Is that a fair take?
I don't know. I mean, I know we haven't hit a homer in a while, anyone, but so having a couple of those today was nice. Just good to see like good contact, good at bats, guys getting walks and moving guys over and getting them in was huge. So did a really good job at that throughout the game, and especially at the beginning, first half. So we're just going to try and do that moving forward as well.
You were saying kind of quality of contact and at bats and approach the last couple of days. Did it feel like it was building towards something like this?
Somewhat. I mean, I had like a couple good at bats. I mean, some I'd not really, but I'm just going to try and keep barreling balls and see what happens.
Thank you.
Well, the successful return from elbow surgery very much complete for Shohei Ohtani. 5 starts in April. He pitched 30 innings, an ERA of 0.6, 34 strikeouts. Those numbers good enough for Shohei to be named National League's Pitcher of the Month. Of all the accolades Shohei's gotten at this point in his career, it's the first time he's actually won a Pitcher of the Month award. Now, it's the first year we are seeing the full two-way Shohei Ohtani experience for an entire season. He's done everything in this game except win a Cy Young Award so far. He's off to a really good start, Jared, if he wants to check that box as well here in 2026.
I mean, you look at those numbers, and we saw, obviously, every start that he's through this month. He was absolutely dominant. I just love that he's now a complete pitcher. I'm not saying he wasn't a complete pitcher with the Angels. I just think now he has entered his prime. And understanding also as a hitter, I can kind of mess with the hitter's timing because I'm sure as a hitter, he doesn't like to be messed with his timing. So what he does, he has a high leg kick, occasional slide step, he'll quick pitch the hitter, he'll reshape the breaking ball 3 different ways. And oh, by the way, y'all throw 94, 95 with some seek and run. But when he has to, he'll throw that 100, 101 by you. He has been so fun to watch and without question has been the best pitcher in the National League so far.
You're exactly right, Jerry, about him being the best pitcher. Then when you touched on him being more of a complete pitcher now, sometimes it could be also after 2 surgeries when you're going, okay, what do I have to do as far as, attack hitters? It's not always just max effort every single time, which not to say he did that every time prior to that, but it's also something you start going, okay, as you're even working when you're coming back, what do I have to do to work on to know that I still have it in tank? We've seen that, but knowing that I can pitch at a certain like 96, 94, as Jerry was touching on it, but going, okay, let me mix up my pitches. Let me work on those as well when I know I need them to even refine them as you're coming back and rehabbing from an injury as well. All of a sudden, you might find that breaking ball, that feel, you have a little more behind it because you're not always worried about, hey, I got to try to get my velocity back. I got to make sure I'm back where I was as far as velocity is concerned. I think when he was coming back, it was more like, what do I do about my pitches and feel to make sure not only do I not get hurt again, but now all of a sudden I'm more confident in throwing all my arsenal rather than just one particular one.
Yeah, and you tried to clean up some things mechanically as well to give him the best chance to be healthy moving forward. So far, so good. But on the flip side of things, for all of his greatness on the mound early this season, still trying to find it at the plate. He hasn't had a hit in a week, and since April 13th, he's hitting .212. He's slugging .333. He's hit only 1 home run over those 19 games, 3 runs batted in, has struck out 18 times in 66 at-bats. Now, he's basically holding down 2 full-time jobs now. There's a lot of preparation that goes into being a pitcher. There's a lot of preparation that goes into just being a hitter. Nomar, do you think the offense is suffering at all because of the workload, or is he simply trying to fight through a slump right now at the plate?
Well, listen, it's so easy to blame pitching or Sandy that because nobody's ever done it at the level that he's doing it. And he has set such a high bar. And what we've seen him in that Dodger uniform when he wasn't pitching and then winning the MVPs and what he's done as a hitter, we saw 50-50. We've seen some other stuff that's just absolutely amazing. But at the same time, I also think he's just off to a slow start because he usually is a slow start in April. May starting to heat up right here, starting to get warmer. This is when he knows things start turning around for him. But at the same time, I think what I've seen from him, just from an offensive side, is more of what gets him in trouble that we've seen in the past as far as when he goes through these slumps. He's had them in the past. We've seen them. We all go through them. Holy smoke, this game's hard. But I think when his front shoulder and his front hip fly open together, that's what really gets him in trouble. He can fly open with the lower half, but oftentimes when he's going right, when that opens, the front side, the shoulder, the top half stays closed. And we're not seeing that on a consistent basis. We'll see it every once in a while, but we're not seeing it on a consistent basis. Listen, it can go out of whack naturally. We all have our triggers and our flaws and everything. But right now, I think we've seen more of it in him not being able to get that back or that feeling back to try to minimize maybe the slump.
I agree with Nomar. This is just a slump to me. And here's the thing, and fans understand this. This is not batting practice. This is early work. The difference is batting practice, you're in a hitting group, you get 6 pitches, 7 pitches, 8 pitches, and you have a rhythm and tempo because your other teammates have hurt. You see him taking a swing, walking around. There is no rush. He's trying to work through stuff, thinking what he needs to do. Is he going to fire his hips a little bit more? Is he going to fire his hands to kind of lead him out? But the most important thing is he's not rushed. This is not an environment when you're doing early work to be rushed. So that's why this was interesting to me. This is early hitting, so he's trying to work through stuff. So I'm hoping the most important thing, and Nomar, you touched on it, when he gets into trouble, which we all go through slumps, that front shoulder starts to fly open. When that front shoulder flies open, just like anybody else, the hands and the barrel drop, you get swing and miss, and you get weak contact. So I'm hoping he's staying square, working on that, and he can find his groove. So again, I think this has nothing to do with pitching because he's done this before. It's all about trying to find his rhythm and tempo and staying square as long as he can to have that explosion in the box.
And a couple things on that is, one, when you're out there right now, too, while you hit on the field, he does a lot of his work in the cage. But when you're working on something as a hitter, you also want to see the way the ball flight is. You can't always see the ball flight when you're in the cage. You really want to go see it and see if you're getting the backspin, if you're getting the carry that you would like while you're making those adjustments. But the other thing to touch on that front shoulder, as Jerry mentioned, you know, when that is flying open, a lot of times, too, it's mechanics. It's really easy for us to say, oh, your mechanics keep that front side closed or whatever it is you have to do to keep that closed. There's that. But the other thing, though, too, there is the mental side of when it comes to hitting. When you feel like you are being beat by a pitch, when you feel like you cannot catch up to a fastball, that's where slumps really come from. It's that feeling of being beat. So what your body does when your mind thinks, oh, I'm going to be beat, you want to rush, you want to hurry up. And the first thing you have a tendency to do is pull with that front shoulder to get the barrel through. That front shoulder flies open because your mind's saying, I'm going to be beat on the fastball. The other thing you start doing is you start kind of guessing at the pitch or deciding that you're swinging before the pitcher even releases the ball. So this is why you often see sometimes you're like, how is he swinging at that pitch? How is he swinging at that breaking ball? Well, when you feel like you're going to be beat, you have a tendency to already start and going, and you're already beat because now it's off speed. As compared to when you're locked in, you hear those terms. Man, I'm just waiting for the ball. I'm just sitting back. I'm letting it come to me. Yeah, because you know you can wait till he releases the ball to decide. And then next thing you know, you're kind of spitting on those nasty breaking balls out of the zone rather than swinging it and it looks like you're flaring at it. So all that works together.
And I want fans to know, especially kids, this is so hard to do. And look at Shohei Ohtani. Remember, that's early hitting. So when you're on the road, you get early hitting. What was our 7 o'clock start time there? So you get early hitting around 2 o'clock. Yeah. You ask the Astros, hey, can we go get on the field early? And every team allows the other team to do it because it's universal. So it's around 2 o'clock there when he was hitting early UP. That's how hard it is to not just get to the big leagues. That's the hard work that goes in it. But even the best in the world needs to work on something.
But that's also what I was talking about. There's so much preparation
just to be a hitter.
Yeah.
And there's also being a full-time pitcher as well and dominating on the mound. But it's only 34 games. For what it's worth, Shohei right now putting up the worst offensive numbers of his 9-year career, not counting the shortened COVID season. And the Dodgers, just like these guys, are banking on it just being a matter of time for Shohei.
I think when you look at today and just the schedule for Shohei Ohtani, Jerry actually hit it right there on the nail. Shohei was on the field this afternoon at 2 p.m. He did about 3 to 4 rounds of batting practice, then immediately went under, put on his jersey, went out here to start throwing on the field, went into the bullpen. So that just shows there's obviously so much work that's going into not only getting back on track offensively, but preparing himself for his pitching duties. Today, this afternoon, when Dave Roberts was talking to the media, he was asked just what was his own personal expectations for Shohei Ohtani entering this season, where he was going to be back to his true two-way self, starting the beginning of the season, fully built up as a pitcher, and if he had maybe thought that it could have some impact on the offensive numbers this year.
To be quite honest, no. I really didn't entertain that. I guess what he's done, in the past couple of years, you sort of get used to. Not appreciating what he's taking on this year in 26. But yeah, I mean, he's going to figure it out. And is he going to go 50-50? No. But he's still going to be a very, very productive offensive player. We do know that.
On the flip side, did you expect him to be pitching this well from the get-go?
I didn't. On the flip side, that's right. I didn't. The jumping off point at 5 or 6 innings, whatever it is, we expected that. We expected him to and hope that he can continue to make starts. But as far as performance, I really didn't try to forecast. But he's just really been phenomenal.
Recently, Shohei Ohtani has spoken to the media just in regard to how challenging it can be when he's trying to get back on track offensively while also managing his workload on the mound. And he did say that it comes with some challenges because ultimately there's just not enough hours in the day. Again, like I said earlier, today really was a perfect example of that. With the first 2 rounds in batting practice, you could see he was popping up the ball a little bit more, grounding out to second, and seemed a little bit frustrated at the plate. But after that, in that 3rd round, that's when the ball started to fly. He hit one essentially to the train tracks over here, basically hit the scoreboard. So you could see that something was clicking for him. So the hope is that he can just carry that over into the game tonight. The team does feel very optimistic that when it comes to facing this Astros pitching staff, they do feel like they are taxed right now, and this is the perfect ballpark for this team to get going, and especially to show the long ball, guys.
And sometimes, like you guys talk about, you're just maybe a hair off. And Shohei Ohtani is another one of those guys who almost always takes batting practice indoors in the cage before games. He did take BP on the field before game 4 of the NLCS. He hit 3 bombs. Then he took BP on the field at Rogers Center before a World Series game and hit the ball really well. Today, Jared, this wasn't your typical BP. He was out there just getting some early hitting work in Houston, just trying to get things going offensively. What do you think he was trying to accomplish today with this?
Well, trying to find his rhythm and tempo and trying to find his swing again. Again, this is not batting practice. This is early hitting. So this is around 2 o'clock local time. And you see there's no fans in the stands. He's out there early. He's taking it pitch to pitch. You see the frustration right there and trying to find the swing. And Kirsten did a great job reporting early. First couple rounds just did not go so well, trying to find it. In the last 2 or 3 rounds, you see him driving the ball to the ballpark. And what I love about it, it's gap to gap. Right center, left center, going the other way. I think what he's working on is staying square. We know when Shohei Ohtani is not leading or leaking with this front shoulder, he's keeping this front shoulder square long enough, he has explosion. So for me, maybe the key is, you see the train tracks? See the choo-choo train? Hit the choo-choo.
He did.
Hit the choo-choo during the game.
I was just thinking, Kirsten mentioned that he was hitting some to the tracks, and in my head, we know where that is. That's opposite field, the left center gap, a long, long way. I mean, even as a guy who's right-handed trying to hit it there, that's a long way. He's doing it the opposite way. So that means if he's hitting it over the train tracks, that means the front side is staying closed like we're talking about. So, wow, I hope that goes in.
We see it right there, 55 swings. Would that be considered a lot of swings in early work?
55?
No,
Not necessarily, because, there's a different types of swings. You can have 55 swings, but you're not all max effort 55 swings. There's different the way you might be working on it. Maybe, hey, let me get my hands right first and trying to get that as you're taking your swings, and then maybe your last 5 or 10 really letting it go.
I've never hit 22 home runs with 55 swings in early
batting practice?
That's never happened.
Did you hit the train tracks in Houston?
Yeah, from second base.
Well, what a fun surprise it would have been for any fans in Houston if they were able to walk in and see Shohei Ohtani hitting missiles up to the train tracks, hitting it off the scoreboard during BP.
John, well, I can tell you, it was a fun surprise just for the media. Of course, normally we're not usually seeing Shohei Ohtani on the field doing batting practice or early work. The only time really seeing him out here is when he's on the backfields playing catch or going into the bullpen. So for it was a pleasant surprise for us. We also know when he does do it, he's working on something very intentionally, looking for a feel, looking for his timing. Dave Roberts, though, he talked about he didn't personally see the BP, but he did talk about what the hitting coaches had shared with him and just the feel that Shohei Ohtani is looking for.
I was pleasantly surprised. And I think that he talked to Aaron yesterday and said he'd like to get on the field. And I think it's a good thing. I do. Obviously, he's got his own routine. That he's in the cage and he's consistent with the baseball well, swinging well. So to kind of see the flight of the ball, and a lot of times that's why hitters try to get out on the field. So, most of the times when he does this, it works. So we'll see what happens tonight.
You said last week that it is the big difference when he's doing both is that it's tougher if he's scuffling offensively to get right because of the workload. Like, how have you seen him try to balance both while also trying to get right offensively?
That's completely fair and honest. I mean, I guess people are appreciating is that, you're taking 6 or 7 innings, and that's a lot of load on a player. And then, so yeah, when he's not really in sync with his mechanics offensively, most hitters work extra to kind of get their swing back, but then to be able to be willing to take on that extra workload is difficult at times, to accept that. But I think getting on the field is a good kind of middle.
So right as we went on the air this afternoon, Aaron Bates actually was talking to the media about Shohei Ohtani this afternoon, and he said the focus for just this BP today was really working on his timing, his gather, making sure he's not too closed off or not too opened up, and also just putting him in a situation where you can see how the ball is playing here and putting an emphasis on using all parts of the field, guys.
What do you want to see from Yamamoto tonight?
A little better split finger, a little bit more consistent as far as being able to put people away with 2 strikes, and that has related to his 4-seam fastball, which pretty much has gotten hit a little bit more than last year. He's raised the bar so high for himself that when he is a normal big league pitcher, we think he's in a slump. Well, I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, you see what happened last week. It's like, what is going on? Well, I guess this guy can be allowed to have an off night, too. And he just better get back on track tonight. Right away, Yoshi.
All right, if Shohei Ohtani goes off in this series, it has nothing to do with the next statement I'm going to make, because he comes into this series 0 for his last 14. That's not going to happen very many times. In fact, the Los Angeles Dodgers, they had lost 4 in a row up until yesterday when they got a win against the St. Louis Cardinals. But it's not who you face, but when you face them, you might be facing them at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Any hitter as good as there is going to go through ups and downs. We saw Jordan have a series in Boston where he only got 1 hit. But Shohei Ohtani, Astros pitchers in general have handled Ohtani well throughout his career, and they've seen a lot of him from his time with the Angels. There is some swing and miss in Shohei Ohtani, and you can go and you can get him to expand below the zone, but the key is you have to stay ahead of him in the count. You have to get him over-aggressive and trying to swing at pitchers' pitches. If you're behind in the count, if you kind of nibble around the edges and fall into 2-0, 3-1 counts, he'll really be able to zone you up, and that's when he can hurt you big, and there's as much power in that swing as anybody in baseball.
And it reminded me, too, you're seeing I say different Shohei, but certainly we've seen the maturation process of a very, very good player as opposed to what he was with the Angels and now what he is with the Los Angeles Dodgers.